recruits into the American Communist Party felt betrayed by such events as the Hitler-Stalin Pact of 1939, the Soviet invasion of Finland, and the bloody purges by Stalin. The innocent idealists dropped out of the party, but by this time many of their comrades had become hardened revolutionaries and continued to follow party directives regardless of events. Some of those who left the underground came forward to tell their story, and it is through their testimony that we have learned about those who remained behind. Whittaker Chambers was one of those who broke away. Chambers revealed that for 14 years he had been a dedicated communist and had acted as liaison in Washington for a group of communists who held high-ranking positions in the federal government. Elizabeth Bentley was another one who broke from the party in disillusionment. She had held a position similar to that of Whittaker Chambers and had dealt with many of the same people.
We were getting information from the Army, particularly the Air Corps, from the Treasury, from the State Department, from the OSS, from the CIA.
Whittaker Chambers and Elizabeth Bentley described the existence of 3 underground groups, or cells. The oldest of these was the Ware Cell, formed by Harold Ware, an official of the Department of Agriculture. The Silvermaster Cell was under the direction of Nathan Gregory Silvermaster, an official of the Farm Security Administration. And the Perlow Cell was headed by Victor Perlow, an official in the Treasury Department. Over 80 persons were identified by name as part of this espionage network. The following is but a brief sampling from that list. Harry Dexter White, Assistant Secretary of the Treasury, First U.S. Director of the International Monetary Fund, author of the Morgenthau Plan for the dismantling of post-war Germany, member of the Advisory Committee of the OSS. Laughlin Curry, Administrative Assistant to President Roosevelt, Specialist on the Far East, Personal Presidential Envoy to China. Harold Glasser, Assistant to Harry Dexter White in the Treasury Department, U.S. Economic Advisor to Foreign Governments, Advisor to Secretary of State George Marshall, helped determine which countries would receive U.S. economic aid. Major William Ullman, United States Air Force, Materiel and Service Division in the Pentagon, access to restricted military information, document photography specialist for the Silvermaster Cell. Also named were Frank Coe in the Treasury Department, John Apt in the Department of Justice, Nathan Witt in the Department of Agriculture, Robert Miller in the State Department, Henry Collins in the Department of Labor, Sonia Gold in a Congressional Investigative Committee, and in the OSS, Maurice Halperin, Donald Niven, Duncan Lee, Helen Tenney, J. Julius Joseph, and Donald Wheeler. But perhaps the best-known name of all was Alger Hiss.
Ask them if they ever found in me anything except the highest adherence to duty and honor. Then the committee can judge and the public can judge whether to believe a self-discredited accuser whose names and aliases are as numerous and as casual as his accusations. The other side of this question is the reliability of the allegations before this committee, the undocumented statements of the man who now calls himself Whittaker Chambers.
I don't hate Mr. Hiss. We were close friends, but we are caught in a tragedy of history. Mr. Hiss represents the concealed enemy against which we are all fighting, and I am fighting. I've testified against him with remorse and pity.
Alger Hiss began his government career as a law clerk for Supreme Court Justice Oliver Wendell Holmes. Later was employed in the Department of Agriculture, moved to the State Department, and rose rapidly to the rank of Assistant Secretary of State. Was official advisor to President Roosevelt at Yalta, where major decisions were made affecting the fate of post-war Europe and China. Supervised the writing of the United Nations Charter. Was chairman and acting Secretary General at the founding meeting of the UN. In 1939, was identified as a communist agent by 2 independent sources, the French Intelligence Service and Whittaker Chambers. The reports were ignored.